Hi, I'm Adam Chapnick. Thanks for joining us. This CMMC Spring 2022 webinar is brought to you by the CMMC Academy. Today's webinar is presented by Solarium. Let's take a look at what you can expect from the program. First, we're going to have an overview of the latest CMMC updates. Second, how your suppliers can get prepared for CMMC with our special CMMC courses. Plus, why you should choose Solarium to get ready for CMMC 2.0 or to prepare for NIST 800-171. That and more is coming up. So with that, let's begin with our first session and discuss the latest CMMC updates. Here to provide insight into this is Chris Gundell. Chris is the Chief Operations Officer at Solarium. Chris has served as the worldwide customer training and certification leader for IBM Tivoli. He has extensive experience in the software delivery lifecycle, courseware development, training delivery, and certification testing. Chris is the person leading Solarium's CMMC initiatives and relationships with the CMMC accreditation body. He has been central to Solarium's efforts in becoming a licensed partner publisher, LPP, and licensed training provider, LTP, with the CMMC accreditation body, as well as a CMMC registered provider organization, RPO. Chris joins us now from Los Angeles. Thanks for being here today, Chris.
Glad to be here, Adam.
So, Chris, okay, we're 4 months into the new year. So, what are the latest changes to the overall CMMC model?
Well, the most obvious change is the model is now 3 levels versus 5. They've eliminated level 2 and level 4. Essentially, level 1 now is called foundational, whereas before it was basic, but it's the same 17 practices. So there's no change in the practices. The major change in level 1 is organizations who only have federal contracting information, or FCI, are now able to self-attest. Under CMMC 1.0, they needed a third party C3PAO to do an external certification. So now they can self-attest, but they also must self-affirm, which means they're an officer of the company or an executive must affirm that they've met these requirements. And this ties into the False Claims Act and cyber fraud and so forth. At level 2, here's where a lot of the changes have occurred. Previously, there were 130 practices. They've eliminated the 20 Delta practices that were inserted into NIST 800-171 specifically for CMMC. Now they've been eliminated, and the practices are aligned completely with NIST 800-171. So there's 110 practices. The 110 practices have the same numbers, although CMMC 2.0 uses a prefix in front of the number. At level 2, originally, the DoD said that, or basically stated it would be bifurcated in terms of the assessments, which meant that some of the OSCs that wanted to get certified, that needed to get certified, could self-attest. This is going to be very rare. The recent updates from the DoD indicate that in most cases, companies that have controlled unclassified information that are bidding on contracts with CUI are going to need to be assessed by a third party, which is the C3PAOs. And so basically it would be for external assessments, it's every 3 years. For level 1, the assessments are the self-attestation is every year. So as we move up, the other thing on level 2 that's been eliminated are all the process assessments. So the processes, the 998s, 997, 999, they've been eliminated. However, I need to highlight that does not mean that you do not need documentation. You need a system security plan, comprehensive SSP, you need policies, you need plans. So documentation is critical. You need to document each practice. As we move up to level 3, there's not a lot of detail. Basically, it's above 110 practices, but the only information we have from the DoD is it's going to be based on NIST 800-172. But at level 3, only the DIBCAC can do the assessments. So level 2, you get assessed by a C3PAO. And then if you have level 3 information that's critical to national security, DIBCAC needs to assess. The one other point that I want to make is before, companies were not allowed or not permitted to have any gaps. In other words, there were no POAMs or plans of actions and milestones that would enable the companies to fix these gaps rather than get reassessed. Now, they are allowing limited POAMs, and then companies need to fix the gaps within 180. So
Thanks,
that's
Chris.
much,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you. So let's now turn to discussing the CMMC Insights courses created by the team at Solarium. I know you've been instrumental in their creation. So what courses are currently available?
There are 3 options, Adam. We have, and all the options include a comprehensive self-contained e-learning course. The course has tests, and we have mock assessments and so forth. An advanced assessment tool for the appropriate level. And I'll talk more about these tools. They go not only into the practices, but the objectives, which I'll explain are very important. We have an interactive reference guide with each of these options, and also a quick start guide. Now, we call these courses, but it's really a learning portal because all these components are there. And in addition, we do updates. So you'll get updates from, as changes as the CMMC moves through rulemaking. Those changes will be up there. So level one option is if you just need FCI, just need level 1, you do not have CUI, you can purchase the level 1 course for $995. If you have CUI, you'll need to get certified at a level 2. The level 2 course is $1995. And we have a third option, which is identical to level 2, except it also includes, we call this a situational awareness edition. It includes a commercial professional feed, and we also have curated threat information, which is curated by a senior analyst on our staff. Now, one of the things I want to mention, we also, in the title of these courses, we include 800-171, NIST 800-171. It's important, once again, to note that CMMC 2.0 is aligned completely with NIST 800-171. And even though rulemaking is still in the process for CMMC 2.0, 800-171 is in effect now. And the companies, our customers, DIB companies are jumping on the bandwagon to make sure that they are 800-171 compliant if they have CUI. So even though rulemaking is still in effect, and it may be another year or so before it's approved, companies should start right now. And our CMMC 2.0 course covers all the practices you need for 171 and CMMC.
So, Chris, why should suppliers choose Solarium to get ready for CMMC 2.0 or prepare for NIST 800-171 now? What differentiates Solarium's courses?
The key differentiator is our deep knowledge, not only of the assessment process with our relationships with the AB, but also we have assessors with years and years of experience on staff. But even more importantly, we have very deep implementation knowledge. We've been implementing 853 for many, many years, and our technical teams, and we have a security analyst on staff that has been on both sides of the assessment process. So when we talk about insights, and that's why we've named and entitled these courses Insights courses, you get insights from the mind of an assessor. what's in the mind of the assessor, but also how do you implement? What are some best practices? And we go into that on some of the more difficult uh, practices and objectives within practices to assist in implementation. So one of the things that we mentioned, the assessment tools, one of the key benefits of these tools, we cover all 300 plus objectives across the 14 domains for level 2. So even though there's 110 practices, there's over 300 objectives, and you need to meet each of those objectives to fulfill the practices. We cover that in the tools, and the tools can provide tracking insight and reporting and so forth. So, as mentioned, at a glance, a dashboard for accelerated reporting and tracking. You get the portal or access to the portal for a year. There's implementation roadmaps, the structured learning, the quick start guide. The interactive assessment guides are tied directly to our self-assessment, so that as you're going through the assessment, you can click on the practice and immediately goes to all the details in the guide. This will save a lot of time. And we recommend that the self-assessments are conducted keep them in mind as you're going through the courses and then after the course. As I mentioned, we cover some best practices. You can do our courses linear or just in time. After you've completed the course, just go to the practices you need. Or you can use the course as a job aid. And I think I mentioned previously that CMMC updates will be providing as they occur. The Situational Awareness Edition, again, is commercial cyber threat information at a fraction of the cost. Commercial cyber threat feeds can cost tens of thousands of dollars. For an additional $1,000, you get access to cyber threat reports and recent cyber threat activity. So basically, those are the.
Yeah, amazing. So do you have any future courses planned?
We're in the process of completing our CMMC certified professional course, which will be an official CMMC AB course, per our role as licensed provider. But again, these are for assessors. We're also going to be working on this CMMC certified assessor course for assessors. But our focus has been on suppliers, as it has from the beginning. When we started the CMMC Academy 2 years ago, we were focused on suppliers. And this is one of the reasons, we've been dedicated to strengthening, the cyber hygiene and the threat posture of the DIB. So that's why we came out with the CMMC.
Okay, so last question. What's the benefit of using Solarium's self-assessment tools and the enhanced interactive assessment guide in conjunction with the current Insights course? How does that help companies in their CMMC implementation?
Well, as I mentioned, our enhanced CMMC 2.0 assessment tools cover over the 300 objectives, at least in the 110 practice for level 2. We cover all the objectives in level 1 on the level 2 tool. So it's extremely granular, and it provides a roadmap for you, and you can look basically at gaps, but also track progress. We have dashboards that can be used for tracking progress and presenting executive and management updates. In addition, I want to mention that we've also included our 800-171 tool that can be used in conjunction with our CMMC 2.0 tools. So you can roll up the information in terms of the status on the practices into the 800-171 tool. And the 171 tool will give you a score out of the 110 practices or controls in 171. And this would be the same score that you would then input into SPRS. So we've provided you both with the CMMC 2.0 tool, and you can feed that into our NIST 800-171 tool, and then feed that up to the SPRS. And as I mentioned, companies should not be waiting now. They should be making sure, particularly if you're going to be bidding or are bidding on contracts with CUI, uh, to make sure that you're meeting the 171, meeting 171 compliance.
Great. That's a ton of great information there. So if you want to learn more about these courses, visit solarium.com/CMMC Insights courses. Well, that's it for today. I'd like to thank Chris Gundell for shedding light onto the latest CMMC developments.
Nope.
Also, a big thanks to the team at Solarium and CMMC Academy. And thanks to you for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon for another update. Bye.